Kanye said, only millionaires wear chains. They said, what? He said, I'm a billionaire. Billionaires don't wear their money on their body. I tucked my chain and I said, oh, snap. He said, I can say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Adidas dropped that immediately. Ironically, Adidas was founded by Nazis, and they were offended. This guy lost $1.5 billion in a day. I saw that. I said, put your chain on. Welcome back.
For years, Kanye West has insisted that his billionaire status is real. But if that's the case, why does everything around him seem to be falling apart? He's claimed to be worth billions, positioning himself as not just a musical genius, but a financial powerhouse. But cracks are starting to show. His partnerships with Adidas and Gap have crumbled. His real estate is quietly being offloaded, and lawsuits and debts are piling up. So, was Kanye really ever a billionaire? Or was it all a carefully constructed illusion? Before we dive into the full story, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you never miss an update on stories like this one. Now let's take a look back at how Kanye even started, because this dude didn't just pop out of nowhere flexing Yeezys and private jets. Kanye West grew up in Chicago, raised by his mom Donda, who was an English professor and major influence in his life. From the jump, Kanye was that artsy, creative kid. He was writing poems, sketching, and messing around with beats before most kids knew what a sampler was. He wasn't just vibing, he knew he wanted to be great. In the late 90s, Kanye started grinding behind the scenes as a producer. He had a totally different sound, soul samples, chopped vocals, crazy drums, and people started noticing. Soon enough, he landed a spot producing for Rockefeller Records. That's when things got real. His beats were everywhere, shaping the sound of early 2000s hip-hop.
The problem was, with Dame, his truth was more accurate and more closer to what mine was, but his technique was harsh for me as a young kid and stuff. I felt like a little bit more pressure.
Dame was an ass. He was an ass.
And Jay-Z's was a nice guy, but I wanted to learn this technique that Jay got of actually being likable. Like when I was doing Watch the Throne, one of the main reasons why I did it was to learn, Jay's techniques of how he talked to people. Man, I be talking to people the wrong way sometimes.
Me too.
But here's the thing. Nobody took him seriously as a rapper. But Kanye wasn't having it. He started recording his own stuff, showing up to meetings with a busted jaw from a car crash and still spitting bars. That hunger? Unmatched. In 2004, everything changed. He dropped his debut album, and it hit different. No fake flexes, no street persona. Just real life. College, insecurity, faith, family. He was saying stuff people actually related to. It was smart, it was fresh, and it shook up the entire rap scene. After that, it was game over. Kanye wasn't just a rapper, he was an artist.
Your first new album, man, it's called The College Dropout. You're excited about it, and you ought to be, man. It's really hot.
Yeah.
And I know everybody, a lot of people know your story and how you came to make this record. You had a couple albums.
Every album sounded different. Every music video looked like a movie. He wasn't following trends. He was setting them. Whether people loved him or hated him, everyone was watching. That's how it all started. But Ye wasn't just trying to win Grammys. He wanted to build a whole empire. Once he had the music world on lock, Kanye started looking at the bigger picture. He didn't want to just be in culture. He wanted to own it. Fashion became his next move. At first, people laughed it off. Remember the early fashion shows that didn't really hit? Yeah, it wasn't smooth at the start, but Kanye, being Kanye, didn't quit. He kept designing, kept pushing, and kept saying he was going to change the industry. Then came Yeezy. When he linked up with Adidas, everything shifted. The first Yeezys dropped, and boom, instant sellouts. It wasn't just hype either. The shoes became part of the culture. Everyone from sneakerheads to celebs wanted a pair. And just like that, Kanye was no longer just a rapper with a fashion dream. He was a legit business mogul. The Yeezy brand blew up so fast that major headlines started popping up about how much money Kanye was really making. He started showing off numbers, doing interviews, and saying he wasn't just rich, he was a billionaire. At first, the media didn't believe it. But after he sent over some financial receipts, big outlets started agreeing. Yeezy wasn't just a flex, it was a billion-dollar machine. And he didn't stop there. He signed a massive deal with Gap, started building a whole Yeezy fashion ecosystem, and talked about cities, schools, and even his own version of architecture. Kanye was thinking way beyond clothes and beats. He wanted to be remembered as a cultural architect.
Kanye West recently landed a 10-year deal with Gap to bring his fashion line, Yeezy Gap. Within this 10-year deal, the deal reportedly starts this month, and it comes with the option to renew at the 5-year mark, at which point Gap expects Yeezy to generate $1 billion.
At this point, it looked like Kanye had done the impossible. But then came the headlines, the kind you don't want. It all started unraveling when he lost his biggest deal, Adidas. This was the brand that made Yeezy a global force. But after a string of controversial interviews, public outbursts, and offensive remarks, Adidas cut ties, instantly. And just like that, one of the biggest pieces of Kanye's financial puzzle disappeared overnight. Next up, Gap. That partnership was supposed to be the future, Yeezy for the masses. But delays, disagreements, and going full Ye mode on social media led to that deal crashing too. Gap pulled the plug and millions of dollars in product and hype went down the drain.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna argue with people that are broker than me about money.
Kanye is terminating his Yeezy partnership with Gap.
A king can't live in someone else's castle. A king has to make his own castle.
Ye told CNBC that Gap didn't meet its obligations in their contract, like selling Yeezy products in existing Gap stores and creating separate Yeezy Gap stores. Kanye also said he wasn't able to set his own prices for his collection. Gap CEO said they're gonna wind down their partnership with Yeezy and sell the remaining inventory.
And it didn't stop there. Other brands and collaborators started distancing themselves. Shows got canceled. Projects were shelved. The same industries that once chased Kanye suddenly wanted nothing to do with him. His public image, which once made him money, was now costing him big time. This wasn't just bad PR. This was financial damage. See, a lot of Kanye's net worth was tied up in these brand deals. Once Adidas walked away, experts estimated his net worth dropped by hundreds of millions in a single day. That billionaire title? Gone. Just like that. The numbers people once believed. They weren't adding up anymore without the deals behind them. And while all of this was happening, Kanye's personal life was falling apart too. Right in the middle of his business empire crumbling, he was going through one of the most public divorces of the decade. His split from Kim Kardashian wasn't just private drama. It was everywhere. Headlines, interviews, memes. It was messy and emotional, and Kanye wasn't handling it quietly. Then came the real viral moment. Kim appeared on SNL. Not just as a guest, she hosted the whole show.
I married the best rapper of all time. Not only that, he's the richest black man in America, a talented, legit genius who gave me 4 incredible kids. So, when I divorced him, you have to know it came down to just one thing: his personality.
And to make things even spicier, she brought Pete Davidson into the picture. Suddenly, Kim and Pete were everywhere, and Kanye? He was not okay with it. Instead of laying low or focusing on rebuilding his brand, Kanye was posting cryptic messages, screenshots, and throwing shade online. Fans were watching the collapse in real time, both business and personal. And honestly, it was hard to tell where the music mogul ended and the chaos began. So by now, the whole billionaire image Kanye built? Yeah, it was starting to fall apart fast. After losing his biggest brand deals and going through major public drama, people started seriously questioning his money. Like, was Kanye actually broke? Let's get into it. First, there were a bunch of lawsuits, former employees, contractors, and business partners all coming forward saying didn't pay them. Designers, stylists, event planners, you name it. Some claimed they worked long hours with no pay. Others said they were straight up ghosted after delivering work. It wasn't a good look, especially for someone who claimed to be a multi-billionaire.
Here's how Kanye West lost his billionaire status, explained by a lawyer. Turns out that not all of Kanye West's assets were tangible assets. What are tangible assets? These are things like cash or real estate, things that you can actually touch. In this case, when Adidas terminated their partnership with Kanye West, his net worth evaporated because it was connected to the value of his interest in the partnership, an intangible asset. When someone is a billionaire, it doesn't always mean they have $1 billion of cash sitting in the bank.
Then came the IRS rumors. Reports started flying around that Kanye owed over $50 million in unpaid taxes. That's not some small mistake, that's deep financial trouble. Apparently, his accounts were frozen for a time, which means he literally couldn't access certain funds. For someone who was flexing private jets and exclusive properties not long ago, that's a massive shift. At the same time, people started noticing something else. Kanye was selling off property. He listed his Wyoming ranch, which he once called a creative headquarters, along with multiple homes in LA and Calabasas. Even some of his rare luxury cars were put up for sale. Downsizing? Maybe. But it also felt like he was trying to get quick cash. And let's not forget the creative side. Album rollouts were messy, tours got canceled, merch wasn't hitting the same, and several projects seemed to stall out mid-launch. Rumors swirled that he couldn't even afford to pay some of the team behind his newer content and fashion drops. So yeah, the math stopped mathing real quick.
Why do you talk so much about money nowadays, man? I used to look at you as like a real revolutionary. You know, real revolutionaries didn't need money to change the world. Malcolm X wasn't rich. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't rich. Like, I don't understand why everything is so much about money and stuff to you now.
Because you need product. You need to own something to have a voice at this point. Because I'm telling you,
you already got it. You don't need to own something to have a voice. Yeah, you had a voice when you got on stage and you said George Bush don't care about black people. You was using your voice. You don't need money to have a voice.
I could use my voice, but what happened if y'all don't buy no other albums? Then that voice, people gonna say, oh, he like Arsenio Hall, and he was turning up too much, and now you fired. But when you got money, can't nobody fire you.
No.
Without Adidas, Gap, and the trust of investors, Kanye's empire looked more like smoke and mirrors than solid gold. Was he completely broke? Probably not. But was his billionaire status real? Highly questionable. Bottom line, Kanye might still be rich, but not that rich.
Tupac told me back in the days, you had to get your money right, then you go to war. So I'm going to war. I don't have endless resources. I only have like maybe $120 million in my account. But what I'm not gonna let happen is I'm not gonna let my kids take over Easy someday and have a boardroom telling them what to do and talking behind their back. Not gonna let that happen to my children. So I have to fight right now.
And now that the hype's faded and the deals are dead, it's looking like might have been bluffing more than we thought. But what do you think? Was it real wealth or just all brand hype? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more breakdowns like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.